This video is for the complete newbie to Premiere Pro. You have no interest in being a video editor. You just have some, let's say, vacation videos that you want to put together, or maybe a work presentation. The videos are different sizes, or different formats, and maybe you want to cut the beginning of one video down, the end of another one, and you want to make sure they're all sized the same so that they look good. That's all we're going to do here. We're going to import it, we're going to throw them together, and we're going to export. So I'm going to go off the assumption that you have installed Premiere Pro from the website. Hopefully you know how to install a program. Go to their website, click install, download, install. We're going to launch it here real quick. When you launch Premiere Pro, it should look something like this. You won't have a recent because you've never used it before. This will all be blank. That's fine. Go New Project on the upper left here. Title your project. I'm going to just title mine Demo. You can change the folder where it saves. Let's say, for example, you are doing some vacation videos. What you can do is you can actually save the Premiere profile to the same folder as your vacation videos. So I'm going to save this to the videos folder where I've got the videos that I'm going to use in this presentation. You don't have to, you can just leave it at the default if you want. Don't worry about templates. Hit create. All right, now you've got your new project. I know it doesn't look very exciting, does it? Go up here to File. When it first launches, it's going to give you this sample media kit. It's basically setting it up in case you want to do some tutorials and that kind of stuff. We don't. Hit skip. Okay, now we're in our project. Down here, you've got this option here, which is going to be project, and then whatever you named yours. Mine's called demo. And you've got this option here, import media. There are other ways to import media. Technically, we could have done it on that first screen as well, but we're not going to. Go to the folder wherever you have your videos saved. So I've got just a bunch of stock videos that I've downloaded, and so I'm just selecting all the ones that I want. And you can see my Premiere Pro project is in here as well. I'm going to hit open. Okay, now it's imported all my videos, as you can see here, and I'm going to just grab this little pane and I'm going to pull it over to show you what we're working with. So we can see we've got different video lengths, but we've also got video formats. So we've got 1280 by 720, 1080 by 1920, which is going to be your vertical, 960 by 720 because this is old footage. So if you go and start pulling this stuff into your timeline, watch what happens. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this Adobe stock video and I'm just going to click on it and I'm going to pull and drop it over into the timeline. And now what it's done is it's added that video to the timeline, and we now have this up here, which is our preview window. So if you click this little blue icon here, you can scroll forward. I'm also going to change the timeline name here. So see this, how it has this kind of multiple levels? That's going to be each of your timeline sequences. So I'm just going to double click on that and it's going to highlight it. And I'm going to call this, let's call it Demo Vacation instead of just Vacation Demo. And notice it changes that. So this is actually going to be what we're going to export in the end. So I've got my Adobe stock footage. Now I want to add, let's make some more space. So notice you can just kind of drag and move spaces around. This first one here I know was a bit smaller. So I'm just dragging and dropping those onto the timeline. Down here you've got this little bar. And notice I can kind of see all of this footage. So notice my little island one here, and then we go over to the old Patterson Gimlin Bigfoot film. So notice, because the format is much smaller, so it's got all this black space around it. Because this video, if I right click on it and I go sequence settings, it's going to tell me the frame size and all that. So this is standard 1920 by 1080. You can change this if maybe you want to make your video larger or smaller. You can change your audio frame rate, that kind of stuff. But right now, just leave it at the default. Don't worry, notice we have different frame rates and that kind of stuff. 24, 23.9 is actually quite common for film stuff. Again, don't worry about it too much. Generally, just leave everything at the defaults. I'm going to change my time base to 23.9 because that's more standard than a 50 frames per second rate. Everything else, the 1920 by 1080, I'm going to leave. You really don't need to go larger than that unless you're making a high-def video or something like that. But if this is going to be home videos for family or work presentation, leave it at 1920 by 1080. But notice my Patterson Gremlin video is smaller than my frame. Up here you've got an effects control. If you go into that, this is where you can move stuff around. So I'm just going to move my mouse over and notice it changes to a little pointer. I'm going to click and I'm going to just pull to the right there to increase the scale. Now keep in mind, it's increasing the scale, not the resolution. So you can see that it's still grainy, and that even though I'm increasing the scale, it's not going to increase the quality, it's just increasing the scale. So you can leave it smaller if you want, or you can increase it up to fit the frame. You can also move the position around if you want, and you can click into those numbers and do them manually as well. So that's the default. So let's say you've got your home videos and you just want to do something like that. That's fine. This video is way too long because I must have downloaded it from somebody's video. So when I take my mouse pointer and notice I'm going over to the right and I get this red pointer arrow thing, click on that and just drag to shorten it. And now it's going to shorten my video. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I want to maybe cut a little bit off the see. So I'm seeing the intro. I don't really care about the intro of the person who made this video, and I'm just moving my playhead. That's what this is here, to where I want it to show, which is going to be just this little bit of Bigfoot walking. And I'm going to do the same thing I did with the mouse. I'm just going to keep moving it until, and sometimes notice it's kind of being a little touchy. Click off, and you can kind of click back on, and then that'll work. And I'm just going to pull that all the way to the right till it hits that playhead, and it kind of will snap too. But notice now I've got this black space here I want to get rid of. That's easy. You can either click it and drag and drop it and move it over, or click in that space, right click, and go ripple delete, and it'll remove it as well. And again, since this video was downloaded from somebody's YouTube video, in theirs they had that smaller version, so you need to pay attention to stuff like that. But that's the basics of doing that. I'm going to add one more here. Now this one is going to be in a vertical format. So I'm going to click on it, and notice I actually need to zoom down in order to get it to completely fill that space. So the opposite of what I was doing before. If you want it to go all the way, then obviously you're going to need to zoom in. But let's say I want it to actually have the black. Let's again shorten it. So let's just say I want this little bit here at the beginning. I'm going to set that where I want it to cut. And now I'm going to hit the C on my keyboard, and notice it brought up this little razor blade. I'm going to click right there, which is now going to cut it. I'm going to click V, which changes it back to the pointer. I can now click on it. I can just hit delete on the keyboard. You can do something like this. So I'm going to hold the Alt key on my keyboard, and I'm going to slide this up, and notice what it did. It basically created a copy. So I can click on that lower one. I can scale it up. So this is where you see a lot of YouTubers do this, where they kind of increase the scale on the backdrop, and then they blur it. So I'm going to go over here, see these little arrows. I've got effects, and I'm just going to search for blur. I'm going to grab my Gasson blur. I'm just going to drag and drop it onto that, and notice it blurs that background. And you can adjust how much blur you want in your effects control. Maybe I don't want it to be as blurry. I'm just going to decrease it a little bit. Maybe you don't want it to be as prominent. You can adjust the opacity if you want to make it a little darker. So you can play around with it if you want. Again, this is just a quick intro. And let's throw one more. Let's throw some World War I colorist footage on here. And again, notice this one I'm just going to leave like that. I'm going to hit my C button to bring up my blade. I'm going to hit my V button to go back to the regular. Delete. And remember, if you want something at the beginning, just move it around or use the C and V buttons. Control Z to undo anything you did. So this is a very basic. I haven't really done anything with the audio here, but again, you can adjust it by doing the same thing, moving left and right, cutting, pasting. If, let's say, for example, I change my mind, I want this video to be before this one, you can do that. You can drag and drop and move stuff around. So very basic, very simple explanation there, hopefully. Now I want to export it so that I can show it to people. Up at the top here, you've got export. It's going to have some defaults. Maybe you want to go to YouTube, for example. It'll actually, you can click on that and it's going to give you presets for a standard YouTube video, which is probably a good choice. Most everything will play that same format. Notice in this case, the default already was that H.264, 1080 high def. Leave it at the defaults. H.264 is a very common format. Any player can play it. You don't need to really play with the resolution size, that kind of stuff. For the purpose of what you're probably going to need it on, leave it at the default. And then don't hit send to media encoder. This will actually send it to a different Adobe program. You're probably only going to use that if you're doing multiple things at once. That's more advanced stuff. Just hit. One thing I do want to show you is your destination location. So click on that little icon and you can decide where you want this video to export to. So do you want it to end up on your desktop, for example? Just go over, select desktop, hit save. Now it's going to tell it to save it to my desktop. And now I'm going to hit export. Export times will vary depending on your computer and length of the video. This one shouldn't take too long because it's a really short video. However, I am running a bunch of stuff on my computer at the moment, so that actually will probably slow it down, stuff that I should have closed before I started recording this video. Okay, my video is now exported, as we can see. I'm going to go to my desktop, that's where I sent it, Demo Vacation, and it's here. I can play it. You can copy it to a flash drive, you can upload it to YouTube, whatever you want to do with it, because we did it as the MP4, H.264, and like I said, most anything will play that. Okay, hopefully that was informative enough for you. I tried to keep it real simple, not using too many technical terms, and it's just gonna, like I said, import, put some videos together in a timeline, export them, and you should be good to go.